What's going on, everybody? It is Steiner here with the season 3 debut of Secondhand Talent. Incredibly grateful for today's guest. We have Freekbass with us, ladies and gentlemen. First, thank you so much for being on the show. I gotta say, it's wonderful to have you.
Oh, I'm super
Uh,
excited to be here. It's awesome.
First, we ask the same question at the beginning of every interview, and it's getting a little bit harder to ask this question now that we're in season 3. We're gonna give it a shot. Had you never heard the term secondhand talent before?
Mm,
What's your initial thought?
second, well, I mean, it definitely feels like, emphasis on behind the scenes stuff, people that make the music business turn. Everybody just most people just see the people that are up on stage, but that's such a small part of what makes the music industry happen. There's so many people that whether it be managers or publicists or sound engineers or recording engineers. I mean, there's so many things. So that's kind of what kind of first when I first heard the word, that's what I thought of. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty much nail on the head right there. It's the concept of the talent is not any less. It's just often overlooked.
Yeah.
And what we try to do here on Secondhand Talent is, let people know, let our fans and friends know that, hey, you're showing up at doors for 7. We've all been here since 11. We have the stage management crew, we have the audio crew. I've always felt as a comedian that I was the person who was working the least in the venue. I didn't build the stage that I'm standing on. I didn't plug in the mic that I'm talking to. It really takes a village. And it's
Mm,
important to highlight all of the members of the village and not just, as you said, the people who are seen directly.
sure.
And one of the reasons that I'm super excited to have you on the show is to discuss, what you've done for bass education and bringing that to the next generation, because it's so important that we pass down not just what music is, but our passion and our love for what we do.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of start out, begin with the beginning. I'm just very plainly, what was your intro to music?
Growing up in Cincinnati, I always say this, growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, yeah, I'm sure I'd be playing music no matter what part of the world I ended up growing up in, but growing up here, we've got a pretty rich, specifically funk history here, going all the way back to the days of James Brown, before both of our times, but all the King records, every one of the James Brown hits, almost every one of them were recorded here in Cincinnati. James is not from Cincinnati, he's from Augusta, Georgia, but his label, King Records, is from here, Cincinnati. And then, of course, moving into the 70s with Bootsy, and then into the 80s with Midnight Star and The Deal. And there's always been this, and Zap, obviously the Dayton connection too with the Ohio Players and Zap. So that was always and still is always around, no matter what part of this, whether you grew up in the suburbs or you grew up in the inner city or whatever, it was always around.
Absolutely.
So that was from not to sound too out there, but it's like the bass frequencies were like very, even from a young age, affected me. So I started off actually as a drummer when I was a little kid, and would play drums just nonstop. And then probably when I was around fifth or sixth grade, there's a in Ohio there's a music college called Oberlin Music College, which is up around Cleveland, and they would kind of do little tours to like grade schools and high schools and junior high and stuff. And they just happened to sit me right in front of the bass player. I remember that image is like seared in my brain. I was like, I think in
Okay.
fifth or sixth grade,
Mhm.
and I saw this instrument with four big thick strings making these sounds with rhythm, and I was like, what is? And it was just like light bulb moment, And from that, I was obsessed at that point that I was going to play whatever that instrument. I wasn't even really. I don't even know if I even knew what it was called at that point, but I was like, I'm going to play whatever that instrument is right there. That with a combination of the rhythmic elements of Ohio and Cincinnati, kind of forged the way for me.
Yeah.
Peace, everybody.
And that's a podcast. I mean,
All right, great.
we did it.